Okay, perfect. All right, then we'll start. So, welcome everyone. And today I will be talking about time management and high performance habits. Because if you guys don't know me yet, I'm Leah. I graduated from Columbia University with a master's in education, specifically adult learning and leadership. And I've been a time mastery coach ever since undergrad. I started this 4 years ago in 2020. And what that means is I literally focus on helping people build good habits. And that also means break bad habits, right? Break bad habits, build good habits, fix any time management problems, become great at time management. And with these skills, most importantly, unlock their full potential, achieve their goals and dreams. Okay. Because the end goal is never time management, right? No one says, oh, I want to be the best in the world at time management. But time management is a necessary skill in order to get everything we want in life, right? Because all our goals are attainable, but we have to put in the work every day. And so that work that we do has to do with habits, right? Doing things consistently, and also time management, making time and focusing on the things that move our life forward the most, that move us towards our goals. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And I think this is a skill that everyone needs. I often say that in Chinese, this is 必备能力. That means everyone needs this, right? Whether you're a student or an adult, it doesn't matter. So as we're going through this, and I guess especially at the start, I would love for you guys to think about a few questions. How much better would life be if you maximize your potential, whatever that looks like for you? But I'm sure you have an image in your mind, right? So let that sink in and just play that image, play that movie in your mind. What would life look like if you really maximize your potential? What if you made full use of your time every day? What would that look like? What if you operated at peak performance? Okay, again, this is subjective. Everyone's definition of peak performance is different. But for you, what if you operated at peak performance? How much better would life get? And what if you did all the things your heart tells you to do? What if you had no regrets? Because whatever you know you want to do, you just take action. How much better would life be? Probably a lot better, right? And these are actually the things that I help people do. I help people maximize their potential, make full use of their time every day, operate at peak performance, and do the things that they've been called to do, maybe for years, for decades even, yet they haven't started. I help people finally take those first steps. Okay. And here's a bit about what we'll cover today. So I will start with my transformation because the whole reason I do what I do now as a time mastery coach is I went through this massive transformation myself about 4 or 5 years ago. I had a coach, or actually multiple coaches and mentors, and I've actually learned with some of the best mentors in high performance time management in the world. Think James Clear, Tony Robbins, Brendan Burchard, Dean Graziosi. I mean, these mentors, they've helped millions of people, right? So I can't compare to them, but what I'm saying is many of the things I teach nowadays come from their curriculums. And I've basically put things together, made my own version, packaged it nicely, and I've also integrated my own strategies. But the curriculum that I teach nowadays comes from these world famous coaches. So I used to be a student of many of these coaches, the names I just mentioned, and it completely changed my life. So I will show you through photos my before and after. Before I learned time management and high performance habits versus after. Okay, there's a night and day difference. You will see in a second. Then I'll share the mindset and step-by-step strategies to quit procrastination, quit social media addiction and constant distraction, and also maximize your morning productivity. Because I want to give you guys some practical tips as well. And I would say out of everything you could possibly do to improve your time management habits, like these three are the most important points. They lead to the most results. Okay, so we want to laser focus on these. And then also explain my 8-week time mastery training program, which I started about 4 years ago. Now we've helped almost 400 people globally change their lives through this program. I'll share the details with you guys if you're interested. Okay. And then I'll also share some student transformations, like real life before and after videos, images of people who have gone through this program. And lastly, we'll have a little challenge. I'll leave you guys with a bit of homework and we'll do a Q&A. So whatever questions you have, please drop them in the comments anytime. And or you can keep them to yourself first and we'll have Q&A at the end, but just make sure you don't forget your questions because we'll definitely have time. All right, so diving straight in. Okay, this is me in high school. This was the old Leah, and actually this was me until my second year of undergrad. This was the version of me that struggled so much with time management. So I used to be in this toxic cycle of basically procrastinating because I couldn't deal with stress, I guess. Like when I had a lot of work to do, obviously logically you should get started immediately and get it done, right? Then you have no more stress. But for some reason, I just didn't know how to cope with stress. And the more work I had to do, the more I wanted to run away. But that leads to huge consequences, right? Meaning you always leave your work till the very last minute. That means you're rushing last minute to get it done. Then maybe low quality work, or you don't even meet the deadline, which means you could get an F, or if you're already working, who knows? You could get fired, right? Like there could be dire consequences. And I faced many of them. I had to tell teachers, hey, sorry, I can't come in tomorrow for my test because I'm sick. Like I had to make up all kinds of excuses and it felt terrible. I felt terrible about myself. Yeah, I didn't know how to get out of this cycle. And so again, procrastinating, then sleeping late, then having to wake up early for school or college or work, and then not getting enough sleep and just feeling low energy every day and feeling disappointed, guilty, frustrated, like wanting to get out of this cycle, but not knowing how. Okay, that was my before I learned time management systematically, before I had my own coach and mentor. Okay, I struggled for like 6 years from freshman year of high school all the way until my second year of undergrad. I knew I wanted to change, but I didn't have the motivation. I didn't have the sustained motivation. I didn't have a community of people around me. I didn't have anyone to help me. Right? I felt like I was all alone in this. And I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, which also drives me to do what I do now, right? Because you don't have to be alone in this. You don't have to overcome these problems yourself, right? They're actually proven strategies, and you can have a community with you, a group of people pushing you, encouraging you, helping you. Okay. So as you can see, a very different Leah, right, than now. And again, thankfully, through finding my own mentors, some of the best mentors in the world, and going through their coaching programs, I've completely changed myself. And it happened for me really quickly. I remember going through this 8-week program. It was called the 8-week high performance training program. Now mine is called the time mastery training program. So the names are very similar. I guess I take inspiration. But point is, I saw myself change very quickly, let's just say within 8 weeks, into a completely new person. And really, all it took was stacking good habits, right? I went from having, just bad habits, or even if I had some good habits in the past, they were very inconsistent, to focusing on a few key habits every day that led to amazing results. So I started with like sleeping on time, right? Sleeping at 10:30, waking up at 6:30. Then first thing in the morning, I would read for 30 minutes. Then I would exercise. I would do the most important things first. Typically, I'd pick 3 most important tasks to do first thing in the morning. So let's say my most important and difficult assignments, do those first, feel amazing by like noon because I've completed those 3 things. And then the rest of the day is light work, right? It's like the easy assignments, emails, messages, right? And then I still had plenty of time later in the afternoon and the whole evenings to do whatever I wanted. So with that, obviously with this increase in efficiency came a lot of confidence and opportunity, because now I had the time and also the confidence to go out there and try all kinds of different activities, right? Meet new people. I started taking on leadership positions, and I kind of just fell in love with this process of growth, of getting 1% better every day. And it's still remarkable to me today how quickly someone can change their personality, their lifestyle, everything, like literally within 8 weeks. That was me, 8 weeks, right? And that's also what I help people do now. It's an 8-week process. Okay, that's how fast it could be. And obviously, now I help students all over the world go through a similar transformation. So you'll see me speaking at schools and companies, which is something I could have never done before. This old version of Leah was super shy, lacked confidence, could not even speak in front of 2, 3 people. Like my palms would sweat, my heart would pound. So to go from this to this, it's incredible, right? And so here you can also see some of my students from all over the world. Like I never could have imagined when I was in this state that only a few years later, I'd be helping people all over the world with their time management habits. Okay, again, night and day transformation. Total different person. And for me, it happened literally within 8 weeks. That's how quick it was. Okay, so hopefully you guys feel inspired. So, who wants a snapshot of how I transformed? I'll share some specific strategies with you guys. Okay. So, number one, quit procrastination. Feel free to type in the comments who struggles with procrastination. Okay, if you at all procrastinate and you want to stop procrastinating, type one or me in the chat, doesn't matter, just so I can see. Okay, procrastination is the number one problem my students face and people come to me for. Okay, I'm seeing some. Margot, Samsung, 1 million. Okay. Trillion. Yeah. So I'm going to share with you guys some really effective / powerful ways to overcome procrastination. First, the mental part, okay? Because before talking about actions, first we have to shift our mindset. Okay, you have to think differently about time and then your actions will naturally follow. Like if you don't value your time, if you feel like, oh, but I'm so young, I have all the time in the world, I can waste my time, then you're not going to quit procrastination, even if I tell you the strategy. So first you have to shift the way you think about time. Okay, you have to start really valuing your time and valuing yourself, honestly, your life, right? Your potential. So I guess some things that really help me mentally in quitting procrastination is urgency. That's the overarching point. Okay, you have to have the sense of urgency. So, for example, like life is short and you're never guaranteed another day, no matter how old you are. I think the old version of Leah, also a part of why I procrastinated so much on things is because I felt like when I was young, I was invisible, like health-wise, everything-wise. I just felt like I had so much time, right, that I could waste it. No big deal. But I guess as you grow up, as you maybe lose family members as you get older, or as just life happens, right, and you have more responsibilities and you see more things, and life is not just like picture perfect because you're not protected that well anymore. You go out into real life, you realize that life can be really short sometimes, right? And you literally never know when this gift could be taken away. So I guess in the last few years, like this has really sunk in for me and it's helped me. It's helped me gain this sense of urgency and saying like, I'm not guaranteed more time, so let me do the things that I want to do immediately. Okay, let me not procrastinate. And then also, we obviously only have one life. Okay, so yet you got to ask yourself, do you want an average or extraordinary life? It's your choice. And my answer is I want an extraordinary life because the people that I compare myself to, my role models, the person I aspire to be, is someone who lives extraordinarily, someone who inspires others, someone who makes great impact, someone who has total time, location, financial freedom, and someone who also leaves a legacy for the next generation. Okay. So I've just made this choice. And in order to fulfill on that choice, in order to make that happen, like I got to work hard, right? I can't procrastinate if I want to live an extraordinary life. And then another thing is in a Harvard study, you guys have probably heard of this one before. I think it's quite a common example. But in a Harvard study, they interviewed like thousands or hundreds of people who were laying in their deathbeds. So they had like a few more days, weeks to live. Okay. And they found that the number one regret of the dying was that they didn't do what was true to themselves and they listened to other people's opinions, right? But also, like if you look at the overall theme of what people regret most, it's literally just regret, like not doing the things that they wanted to do. Okay, so don't let yourself get there. Don't let that happen to you. If it's been proven by hundreds of studies or hundreds of interviews that regret is the most painful thing when people are about to pass away, like don't let that happen to yourself. Okay? And next, all highly successful people have a sense of urgency. So again, it's going back to that question of what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Average or extraordinary? Because if you want to live an extraordinary life, you have to understand that everyone who's highly successful has a sense of urgency because that's how they got successful, right? If they thought, oh, I have plenty of time, let me just put this off. Let me put off, developing Microsoft and Apple and all these big companies we see nowadays. If those founders procrastinated and they didn't take action, those companies would not exist, right? So you must have a sense of urgency. And the last thing I'll share with you guys, mindset-wise, is This is a quote I really like. It goes, if you do what's easy now, life will get harder later. But if you do what's hard now, then life will get easier later. Let me break that down. If you basically take the easy path now, like let's say in your 20s, okay, you feel like you have so much time, so you don't need to work on your career and you're just partying all day, you're drinking or smoking, or I don't know, spending tons of money on lavish purchases, you're buying expensive things. Like that is probably going to make your life harder later. Okay, because you're not building for the future, you're kind of destroying your future, right? But if right now in your 20s, you are working hard on your career, you're building skills, you're reading, you're exercising, okay, you're doing all these good, you're practicing all these good habits, then of course your future will be even brighter, right? Like our results in life are simply the compounding effect of our decisions every day, our habits every day. So if you're practicing good habits every day, then you can pretty much expect that your future will be bright, right? Good things will happen. But if you're practicing bad habits on a daily basis, then those are also going to compound and they're going to compound in a negative way. Okay. So it's like, I guess life is hard, but you get to choose your hard. Okay, either you do the hard things now and then life gets easier later, or you do the easy things now and then life gets harder later. Your choice. Okay, and so for specific strategies, I would recommend something really simple, which is plan each day the night before. Okay, and literally just write it down on a piece of paper. You don't need to buy a notebook, a fancy notebook from Amazon to do this. Like literally just take out a piece of paper and pen and write down what time you're going to wake up tomorrow. And then let's say you give yourself 30 minutes to get ready, brush your teeth, wash your face. And then immediately, what's the first most important task you're going to dive into? We typically say 3 most important tasks, MITs per day. So what's the first one? Write that down clearly. Okay. And then once you're done with that, then the second MIT, then the third MIT. And of course, between those, you can have little breaks, right? And then after your MITs, maybe it's noon, maybe it's early afternoon, you could take a longer break, reward yourself, right? That also gives you motivation to get those top priorities done quickly. And then after those MITs, you can do the lighter work because you probably have more than 3 things to do per day, right? But trust me, the other things beyond those 3 things are probably not so important. So you can leave those till later in the day. And for those, just try to knock them out as quickly as possible. Okay, cross them off as quickly as possible, batch them together, especially when it comes to like emails, messages, right? You just want to get through them quickly because they probably don't add much value to your life and they're not building any skills. Like when you're replying to messages, you're probably not learning much, right? You're just responding to other people's agendas. So it's better to just get through it quickly. Okay, and then you continue planning until what we call a hard stop. You can just think of it as a deadline, right? It's your deadline every day to finish all your work or studying, and then afterwards is your free time because you've earned it. So you can do whatever you want. And again, having that deadline also helps you stop procrastinating. Okay. Okay, so that's the planning part. And the reason you want to do this the night before, not the day of, is because then when you go to bed, number one, you don't have to keep anything in your head because you know exactly what you're doing tomorrow. So you probably get better sleep. And then also, when you wake up tomorrow, you don't hesitate, you don't procrastinate because you know that you've made your plan already. And if you start your day late, like if you lay in bed for an extra 30 minutes, then you have to move everything back, right? Which is a hassle. So you're basically setting yourself up for success the next day and you're doing it in advance the night before. Okay? All right. And then we already talked about this, but the second point is you need to have a strict deadline every day to finish all your work or studying. Okay, so make this a strict deadline. Typically, I have mine before dinner. You guys can see in this photo. And then I'll draw a horizontal line just to make it super clear. Okay, this is the deadline. And on top of that, I also recommend having daily accountability, including rewards and or consequences. So what that means is find an accountability partner, someone who is committed to helping you achieve your goals on a daily basis. Okay. And then once you have this partner, you basically just text them your 3 priorities every day, your deadline to finish those priorities. Okay. And you literally have to send proof of completion before the deadline. Otherwise, you have a painful consequence. So you can use consequences or rewards to basically force yourself to get it done before the deadline. And it works super well, especially if you have like a really painful consequence that you know you will not allow yourself to do. Trust me, you will get it done before the deadline. And you'd be surprised how quickly you can work if you really test your limits, if you really like focus 100%. Right. I think oftentimes we're just so used to stretching things out because we have our phone next to us and we check our emails, we do this and that every 5, 10 minutes. We get distracted all the time. But if you literally just focus for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, like you would be surprised how efficient you can be. It's incredible. It's life-changing, actually. It's like self-realization. Wow. Okay. So make sure you have this kind of daily accountability. It could be with one person. It could also be with a group of people, like two other people, but I don't recommend making the group too big. Because let's say if you have 10 accountability partners, then if one person doesn't send their MITs or priorities that day, you're probably not going to notice just because there's so many people. So you would rather have tight-knit accountability than a bunch of people. Okay, tight accountability, like strict accountability, is the most effective, where there's 2 people or 3 people max in a group. Then you can really make sure you guys are all doing your MITs every day. Okay. And then with accountability, I'd also recommend beyond just exchanging messages of, oh, I got these priorities done, maybe have like a weekly call, one 30-minute weekly call with your accountability partners. So you also build a relationship. This is something I teach all my students because otherwise it gets boring, right? If you're just texting each other all the time and you don't know each other well. So get to know your accountability partners and become friends. Okay, the tighter you guys are, the better. But you also want someone who's not a super close friend or family member because they might take it too easy on you. Like you want someone who's going to call you out when you need to be called out. That's what makes a good accountability partner. Someone who calls you out when you need to be called out and pushes you, but also someone who encourages you and is kind when that's necessary, right? You need both. You need tough love and you need like warmth, kindness, right? Both elements. All right. So I'll give you guys 2 examples of how much accountability can help you. For example, I did my bachelor's thesis in 2 weeks, literally finished in 2 weeks in my quarantine hotel. And this is not because of procrastination, like waiting until the last 2 weeks, but rather because I was like, okay, my bachelor's thesis is probably not going to make a huge difference in my lifetime. Like, I'm not planning to do a PhD or anything. So it probably doesn't matter that much. And also, it wasn't something that really excited me. So I thought, how can I get this done as quickly as possible and still do good work? Right? Not like rush through it completely. Just be super focused and get it done ASAP. So while I was in Shanghai in my quarantine hotel, I texted my accountability partner for a few days in a row. And I just said like, hey, this is exactly what I'm going to do today for my bachelor's thesis. I'm going to write until the 10th page, or I'm going to write until the, I don't know, the 2000s word, right? Like I basically just set this strict deadline for myself, including what I need to get done. And I had huge financial consequences. I think I said like $500 or 1,000 or even $2,000 US if I don't get it done by my deadline. So you bet I got it done because there was no way I was risking those, I don't know, $2,000, right? No way. The whole point of setting the consequence so high, again, is to force myself to get it done. Because the higher the greater the consequence, the more motivation I have to get it done quickly. Okay? And then another example is when I first started my coaching program, I had to do 50 market research calls in 2 weeks. That is a lot. I don't know what that averages out to be, but it really is a lot. Okay. And I would say the core reason I was able to get it done, even though it was so tiring, is because I made
Hello,
a,
hello.
oh, hello? Wait, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay, sorry, because someone said hello, hello. All right, cool. So I would say the core reason I was able to get this done so quickly is because I made this accountability post in my community with my mentor at the time, who's helping me build my coaching program. So I felt responsible, right? I made a promise to him. Now I better get it done. I don't want to disappoint my mentor, right? So accountability also works really well when you're when you're telling someone you really respect. Like the more you respect the person you're telling this to, the better it works because you don't want to disappoint them. Okay, so keep those in mind as you're finding an accountability partner. And you guys can literally look within this Zoom call because I feel like the people who showed up today are probably committed and serious about improving this area. All right. Now, the second thing I'll share is how to quit social media addiction and constant distraction, because this is probably the second most common problem I see in my students. So first, mindset. 99% of social media does not serve you at all. Again, you have to let that sink in. Like you're probably not gaining anything except these random dopamine hits, and probably you're now feeling insecure and bad about yourself because you see people living this dream life, right? It really doesn't help you. It just hurts you. Let me check the comments real quick, the chat. Literally what you had in mind. Wait, Richard Guo? Why do you sound familiar? Okay, anyway, we can talk later. Okay, second thing is you can watch others succeed or build your own success. Like, I feel like once you start using business media as opposed to social media, once you see the power of social media to help you make an income and also build a personal brand, you start realizing, yeah, I don't want to waste time on this. Like, I'd rather use this as a tool to achieve my goals and dreams of building a personal brand, of making money online, right? Because it is one of the greatest opportunities nowadays. So try to shift from social media and just like consuming content to business media, learning the skill of social media as soon as possible, because that will change your perspective on social media completely. Okay. And then third one is information is meaningless without execution. So for those of you who are like, oh, but Leah, I am learning things on social media, right? I'm using it productively. Even if you are learning things, if you don't execute, you're not going to get anything out of it. You're probably going to forget about it, right? Like knowledge in itself is not very valuable. You could go out online and find anything on Google, right? But what's valuable is applying that knowledge. That's how you get results. That's how you build skills. And in terms of the strategy, what I'd recommend is a lot of people scroll on social media, waste time when they're like about to go to bed. So in the evenings, you lay in bed, oh, it's so comfortable. Let me just keep scrolling. Or it could be first thing in the morning. Okay. So I would recommend turning your phone off before bed. Don't even bring it into your bedroom. Okay. Leave it outside and use a physical alarm. You want to be old fashioned this way. That's good. And then also, when you wake up in the morning, don't touch your phone. Okay. Only touch your phone after your first MIT is done. That's a really good rule to just set for yourself. And, it's still like, it's still realistic because you're just doing one MIT before you touch your phone, right? If I said, okay, you have to finish all three of your MITs before you touch your phone, maybe that's a bit hard for some people, especially if you work in like customer service. But let's just say if you can wake up a little early in the mornings before you typically start work, you definitely have 30 minutes or 60 minutes to get one important thing done. Okay, and this is also a great time to work on yourself, to work on something that you probably won't have time for later in the day once you get busy. Okay, so that could be reading, learning a new language, exercise, anything, any skill, anything that is really important for you. Okay. And then also, whenever you're working, just make sure you don't have your phone next to you. Okay, that is like the biggest temptation if you can just reach over and start scrolling. So I always keep my phone in a different room. I never have it right next to me. And I'll check after each task is done. Okay, again, this is realistic because I'm just saying finish the thing you're working on, which probably will take you, let's say, half an hour, 1 hour, not that long, right? Finish one task and then get up, check your phone. If there's any emergency text calls, you can respond, and then come back to your workspace and do the next thing. And then once you're done, again, you can go check your phone. Okay, so you can still check your phone enough, but your phone is not disrupting you in between your work sessions because that is the worst. And then the last thing you can do is grayscale. So that basically means going to your settings, especially if you have an iPhone. I'm not sure about other phones, but for iPhones, you can go to your settings and adjust the colors. So you can turn it to black and white. And when your phone is black and white, it feels like a newspaper. It's no longer so entertaining. Okay, social media just becomes boring. You don't even want to open it. So that's also a great way. Okay, and I don't want you guys to just hear from me because, again, a lot of these strategies that I teach come from some of the world's greatest entrepreneurs, coaches, etc. So this is Ed Milet. He's a serial entrepreneur, very successful individual. And this is his morning routine.
My morning routines are really detailed. I get up and I hydrate. The second thing I do every morning is I do something cold, something cold. So whether that's I jump in the ocean, because now I live in the ocean, but in those days it was taking a cold shower or splashing some cold water in my face or walking out when it was cold. It shocks our nervous system. Our fight or flight kicks in. We're in a cellular, electric alive state. I obviously do some prayer and meditation every single morning. I've still not touched my telephone. So there's a rule. There's 30 minutes I cannot touch my telephone when I wake up. That's the hardest thing to do in the world and the thing that could benefit you the most. Because what's ever on that phone, you have to react to. And typically it's stuff that's not great. And so I don't touch that. I do my meditation or my prayer, and I do some stretching. I do some breathing exercises. And then at that point, I allow myself to enter the world after I've got my state controlled. And I work out every morning, except for Sundays. I work out every morning.
So as he said, when you're on your phone, you're reacting to other people, right? But first you want to make sure you are in a good state in the morning. Okay, so that could be, again, reading, meditation, stretching, cold shower, Bible reading, whatever is important to you. Okay, the third thing I'll share, and this is also like the last practical strategy, is how to maximize your morning productivity. So again, first, starting with mindset. Treat your mornings as a sprint so you can finish your work quickly. And then after you finish your work, then you can do whatever you want guilt-free. Get enough sleep and feel full of energy the next day. Right? So this would be the ideal way to approach a day, but a lot of people do the complete opposite, which is, get up really slowly or wake up late. Okay, first you wake up late, then you get up really slowly, then you do the easy things first. Oh, I'll do some cooking, laundry, chores. Let me check my email, let me check my WeChat. Like these things are not important. Okay, we can save those till later. Let's dive straight into those MITs. Trust me, you will feel much better afterwards. And so the strategy here is to identify those 3 most important tasks every day. And I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. And then you want to pick the hardest / most important one first. Do that first. Okay. So you get used to basically tackling the most challenging activity first thing in the morning. It also builds your character, but builds you into a stronger person. As Mark Twain says, eat a live frog first thing every morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Obviously, he doesn't literally mean eat a live frog, but you guys get the point, right? If you do the hardest thing first, then everything later will get easier. Okay, so how do you determine your 3 MITs? I think you guys could take a screenshot of this. This could come handy later. So first, all your MITs, most important tasks, should be in these upper quadrants. Okay, they have to be high importance, right? Obviously, you're not going to pick something that's not important. That's why it's called most important tasks. So it's going to be in these 2 green quadrants. And then what separates these 2 is we have high importance, high urgency, and high importance, low urgency. So high importance, high urgency means it's important. Like this is something that helps you achieve a goal. And there's a clear deadline, and it's probably a pressing deadline. So this is typically something that you're told to do by your teachers if you're a student, right? The teacher sets the deadline, or if you work for anyone else or a company, then that's the deadline set by your company, by your boss, okay? But high importance, low urgency, these are things that typically you do for yourself. Like there might not even be any deadline, okay? But you know that you want to do this thing for yourself. Again, it could be learning a new language. It could be switching careers. And in order to do that, you have to build new skills. It could be starting to make income on social media. So again, then you have to start building your presence on social media, posting videos, doing live streams, right? So these are like things that you do now, and they're building up to the future that you want. They're building up to your bigger goals. Okay, because if you're just stuck in the things that you have to do every day, then you're just going to be stuck here forever, right? If you want a different future, like if you want to change careers, then you need to prioritize the things you need to do to change careers, not just the things that you have to do every day for your current job. Okay, so that's one example. And if you guys have questions about this, I'm happy to answer later. Okay. So again, first rule is all MITs should be high importance. Second rule is at least 1 out of your 3 MITs every day should be low urgency, high importance. This is something you do for yourself, something you do for your future. Okay, could be a long-term goal. And the third rule is before your MITs are completed, try to keep your breaks short. Let's say 30 minutes maximum. And after your MITs are completed, you can reward yourself with a longer physical break in the afternoon, like going for a walk, gym, sports, coffee with friends, right? So you're actually looking forward to finishing your MITs quickly and then having that break and doing something that you enjoy. And then after that break, you can finish your day off with light work, easy work. Okay, the rest of the things you have to do. And the reason I emphasize physical break is because, I mean, is scrolling on social media really a good break? No, right? It doesn't energize you. It probably just depletes your energy. And it's also hard to stop. So try to stay away from electronics. When you're taking breaks, get up, do something active, do something that actually gives you energy. Okay, so do you guys want to see the results of these high performance habits? Because it's quite inspiring. Here are just some of the results that I've helped my students achieve, such as Cam. She's an entrepreneur in the Philippines. And as she says, this week was about getting out of my comfort zone, prioritizing tasks, and finally eliminating procrastination. I find that when I am able to eliminate self-negotiation, I get to work right away and commit. Amazing week of progress and results. And this is key. As soon as you eliminate self-negotiation, as soon as you start thinking, like, I have to do this now, you will stop procrastinating. It's that simple. And that's why we need those clear deadlines and consequences or rewards. We need a strong force. And then Cam, through this program, she was also able to scale her business. Like, she literally sent me screenshots of making more sales throughout the program because she was applying these strategies. Maan, also from the Philippines and also an entrepreneur, she said, I've been able to start applying MITs this past week, and it really is helping me become more conscious with how I spend my energy on a daily basis. So she used to just feel super busy every day, and she also has a family, right? Just felt super drained. And so once we narrowed down on like the 20% of tasks that lead to 80% of outcomes, 20-80 rule or 80-20 rule, which is MITs basically, she felt like, wow, I know what to focus on now. And I'm able to actually eliminate a lot of the things that I used to do that really aren't that important, right? Maybe I could delegate or just reduce the frequency of doing those things. So for her, it was definitely prioritization. That was the key. And then we also have everyone in the program find an accountability partner, because everyone here is obviously fully committed to change. So like Brian and Ajanon, they are actually, like, Brian's much older than Ajanon, but it's cool to see like college students connecting with working individuals with tons of experience and becoming accountability partners and all working towards this bigger vision, this better version of themselves. And I'm also happy to share with you guys like a few videos, just two, one of Cam and then one also later of Stefan, of their transformation in the program, just so you guys can see how powerful this is.
Hey everyone, my name is Pam Lugmay. I'm an entrepreneur here in the Philippines, and I just want to share some amazing results that I've seen after joining Leah's Time Mastery program. So I am currently in my 4th week, and in as early as my 1st week, I've already seen amazing adjustments and results. The first one was in my mindset, because Leah encouraged us to think of our why, our purpose, and our mission of being here on this planet, right? We all have a mission. We all have a purpose. When you get clear on that, you're able to execute because you know that reason and you're anchored down into that. Just a quick story, I was able to book 20 one-on-one calls last week just because I'm so focused on that mission of helping others. The second one is leveraging accountability. Because I found an accountability partner here in the program, I'm able to report at the end of the day by honoring my hard stops and honoring all of my wins, celebrating what I'm grateful for, which encourages me to do more the next day and show my accountability partner that I am committing to my word. And in exchange, she does the same thing with me as well, which is such an amazing energy exchange. The third one is my habits and my routines in the day. Because I start with deep work in the morning and commit to my MITs, my most important tasks first, I'm able to sustain that energy throughout the day. And again, while honoring that hard stop at the end of the day, I'm able to enjoy time with my family, guilt-free, without being so focused on what I have to do next, because I know that I committed to all of my tasks during the day. So all in all, this program has made me a more self-aware person, being aware of what I'm doing, separating busyness from actual productivity, which is amazing. And if you guys are feeling stuck, or if you guys are looking to accelerate your life, take yourself to the next level, I encourage you guys to join Leah's Time Mastery program. This is a great program for you to enroll in if you want to invest in yourself, if you want to get better. It is the quickest way to get better, honestly. Find a mentor that will be here to support you, to push you, to encourage you, and introduce you to a community of like-minded people. That's all for now. I'll keep you guys updated on my progress in the next 4 weeks. I'm looking forward to more growth and so many more wins. Thank you, Leah, for being an amazing coach, and I hope to see you guys in the program as well. Bye.
Yeah, so this was after just 4 weeks. And I would say the thing that I'm most proud of Cam for is focusing, like after the program, she became someone who focused on productivity as opposed to being busy, because there's a difference, right? Being productive means you focus on actually important things. Being busy just means you're busy, but it could be on important things, it could be on non-important things. And she used to just do a lot of busy work, things that she could have delegated or things that she could have just cut down on. And it also affected her relationship with her fiance, right? She told me. And so I think the biggest thing for her was obviously she scaled her business, which is great. But on top of that, her relationship with her fiance improved because now she was able to have that hard stop, that clear deadline before dinner, finished all her work, and then she was able to stay off her phone and stop thinking about work, completely disconnect, okay, and enjoy that family time. That's really important when you have a family, right? You need to have quality family time to maintain those relationships. And with Cameron, actually something similar happened. Sorry, he looks so serious. He's actually a really nice guy. You guys will see in a second. For Cameron, he also had a similar transformation in the sense that like his procrastination and constantly thinking about work was already affecting his relationship with his wife at the time. So that was also one of the main reasons he decided I have to change now. Like I can't let this affect my personal relationships. So let's hear from him as well.
What's going on, guys? My name is Cameron Saya, and I'm here to talk very briefly about my experience with Leah's Time Mastery training program. I am 30 years old. I am based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And before I came across Leah and her training program, the biggest thing that I was struggling with was procrastination. More specifically, waking up on time and getting right out of bed and just starting my day. I would just wake up, my alarm would go off, and I would hit snooze, or I would just sit there in bed for half an hour, sometimes even 2 hours, just scrolling through Facebook, just really distracted. I was getting bogged down with a lot of stress from work. I really didn't know how to manage and consolidate my time. It was really taking a toll on me professionally, but more importantly, personally. And in the 8 weeks that I spent with Leah and going through her coaching and going through her training, it really helped me turn those things around. I would say the biggest takeaway that I got from her training was how to consolidate important tasks and how to prime myself to just take action and stop procrastinating. I would say the biggest thing for me is eliminating procrastination and really just having a sense of control over my time. For anybody who is thinking about taking the plunge or who is on the fence about joining Leah's program, I would say just do it. We are where we are in life because of the decisions that we make leading up to this point. And if the decisions that you've made have led you to procrastination or not having control over your time, then maybe it's time to start making better decisions. And for me, one of those better decisions was joining Leah's training. Worth it. I would say just in the first week alone, even on that first coaching call, I got my money's worth. So don't think about it, just do it. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about. She helped me a ton, and I would absolutely take her training over and over again.
Okay, now Cameron's just rambling about how much he likes the program, so we'll stop there. But anyway, his key takeaway was quitting procrastination, right? That's the point. Like getting out of bed immediately, starting his day, and not having that guilt that lingers when you do procrastinate. So now you might be thinking, like, how exactly does this program work? How can I help you? Okay, so this is the 8-week time mastery training program. I'm just gonna go through it very quickly with you guys because if you're interested, you can contact me. We'll talk more. But basically, it is a systematic, meaning we cover everything about your daily time management habits from morning till night. We help you completely master this skill. Okay, because my goal is that after this 8-week program, you never have to take another similar program. Okay. So it's systematic, it's customized in the sense that I help people achieve their specific goals through better time management habits, because the end goal is never just time management, right? We need this skill to achieve everything we want in life. And it's all in English for sure, because I guess you guys might also know me from WeChat channels. So I do have a lot of Chinese fans, but here it's all in English. We have students from all over the world. And so let's go through the process real quick. Okay, imagine yourself in week 1. First, we set clear goals for these 8 weeks. So now you know what you want to achieve, okay, and you're motivated, okay? Week 2, then we talk about how to stop procrastinating. We find that accountability partner for you, okay? So now you have someone to check in with every day. You're setting those deadlines for your 3 MITs or anything that you want to achieve, okay? It's not limited to your MITs. It could also be like habits that you want to start doing every single day, starting with 1. We call those non-negotiables. Okay, because you could literally start with 1 non-negotiable habit and start doing it every single day and use accountability to make sure that you are doing it. Okay, and consistency compounds. If you do anything good for long enough, you will see results. And typically it's exponential, right? Like you will have a breakthrough moment. You will have that overnight success, as people call it, right? Wow. All of a sudden you achieve this amazing result. Well, actually takes a lot of preparation, right? You have to build up to that. So consistency is key. And so now imagine yourself and you're no longer procrastinating, right? You're able to stick to your own deadlines. You're able to finish these MITs quickly. And then you're able to set that deadline for yourself in the evening, your hard stop, then have time to yourself, for family, to do whatever you enjoy. And then you're able to get to bed on time as well. Okay, sleep early, wake up early, so you feel full of energy the next day and every day. And on top of that, you've made your plan for the next day, always in advance, right? Every evening before you go to bed. So you can go to bed, get good sleep. You're not thinking about anything. You're not worrying about anything. And the next morning when you wake up, you know exactly what to do. Okay. Laser focus. So this is something you can expect. Obviously, we go a lot deeper. This is just a summary. So if you guys want to know more, you can contact me. And then every week, it's very simple, practical, and people see results quickly. Okay. There's just 3 steps every week. Number 1 is to watch a video lesson. Number 2 is to complete worksheets where my students write down exactly what they'll do, right? How will they apply the things they're learning in real life? And then they implement. Implementation is the most important part. That's how you get results. And while you're implementing, you will have questions. You will need feedback. So that's why we have a weekly coaching call where you can come on, get all the help you need. Okay, and I will even help you break down your big goals, like the ones you set in week 1 for the entire 8 weeks. I'll help you break them down into weekly goals, help you set them, and then also follow up with you to make sure you achieve them on a weekly basis. And you'd also get lifetime access to our student community, which is a huge part of this because As Cam said, you want to be with a like-minded group of individuals. It's very hard to change alone, but when you have a group of people and everyone is improving their habits together, like it adds a lot of excitement, right? You want to improve because you see everyone around you improving. Okay. So something we always say in the program is if you want to go fast, go alone. It's like you can run 100 meters alone, right? You don't need a team for that. It's short. But if you want to go far, go together. It's like a marathon. Or if you want to run thousands of meters, you're probably not going to do it yourself. You need a team around you, right? Same thing with habits, with time management, with business, with everything, right? Having a team is always better. And lastly, I picked this really good short video that emphasizes the importance of coaching, no matter how experienced or skilled or great you are at something. So this is a nice way to wrap up.
How do professionals get better at what they do? How do they get great? And there are two views about this. One is the traditional view. That is that you go to school, you study, you practice, you learn, you graduate, and then you go out into the world and you make your way on your own. That's how doctors learn. That's how lawyers do, scientists. Now, the contrasting view comes out of sports. And they say, you are never done. Everybody needs a coach. The greatest in the world needs a coach. So I tried to think about this as a surgeon. Pay someone to come into my operating room, observe me, and critique me. It seems absurd. Expertise means not needing to be coached. So then which view is right? Turns out there are numerous problems in making it on your own. You don't recognize the issues that are standing in your way, or if you do, you don't necessarily know how to fix them. And the result is that somewhere along the way, you stop improving. And I thought about that, and I realized that was exactly what had happened to me as a surgeon. So I asked a former professor of mine who had retired, his name is Bob Osteen, and he agreed to come to my operating room and observe me. The case, I remember that first case, it went beautifully. I didn't think there would be anything much he'd have to say when we were done. Instead, he had a whole page of dense with notes. Just small things, he said. Did you notice that the light had swung out of the wound during the case? Another thing I noticed, he said, your elbow goes up in the air every once in a while. That means you're not in full control. It was a whole nother level of awareness. He was describing what great coaches do. And what they do is they are your external eyes and ears, providing a more accurate picture of your reality. They're recognizing the fundamentals. They're breaking your actions down and then helping you build them back up again. After 2 months of coaching, I felt myself getting better again. And after a year, I saw my complications drop down even further. It was painful. I didn't like being observed. And at times I didn't want to have to work on things. I also felt there were periods where I would get worse before I got better. But it made me realize that the coaches were onto something profoundly important. I think it's not just how good you are now, I think it's how good you're gonna be that really matters.
Yeah, so I really like this snippet. It's not about how good you are now, it's about how good you're going to be, right? Or how good you can be. And he also says we're never done. Everybody needs a coach. I agree totally, right? We're never too much of an expert to get more help, right? We can always learn more. We can always improve at the things we do. Okay, so that's it from me. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. Hope you learned some practical strategies you can apply immediately. I would love to know in the comments, or you guys can unmute yourself. What was your biggest takeaway? Just one. And also, what is one habit you commit to for the next 21 days? Obviously, there's a saying 21 days to form a habit. Okay, I agree and disagree. I depends. And I also think that after 21 days, you still have to make a conscious decision to continue practicing the habit. So it depends, but let's just go off of this for ease. Okay, so what is one habit you commit to for the next 21 days? Let's focus on 21 first. And then after that, right, you can make another commitment to yourself. Again, you guys can unmute yourself or type it in the comments. I'm going to wait for at least 1 or 2 people to share before we move on. Alice says, I want to stop procrastinating getting out of bed in the mornings in the next 21 days. Amazing. And so also type in the chat, like, what are you going to do in terms of an action to make sure that happens? What are you going to do starting from today? Or starting from tomorrow, whenever you wake up the next time? How are you going to set yourself up for success? Let's wait for one more. Who else wants to share? Anyone else? Top takeaways or one habit you commit to for the next 21 days? I mean, honestly, everyone should have something to say for these 2 questions, especially if you've been on the whole hour. Oh my gosh, it's been an hour. Oh, wait, was that Margot? Was that you?
Yeah, sorry, my mic didn't work.
Okay, that's okay. Now it works.
Is it working now?
It's working. Yeah, it's working. Oh, can't hear you anymore. Anyway, then we can move on to Q&A. And Margot, I think you might have some questions prepared. So feel
Difficulties.
you're lagging.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to try again? Or you can drop them in the comments. That's also fine. So I'm going to open it up. Let's do like 5 minutes of Q&A, 10 minutes maximum. We can take a few questions. This is only supposed to be an hour, so actually the time's up, but I have a few more minutes. So just drop your questions in the comments or you can unmute yourself. And then also I'll say, if you guys are interested in my help in the program I just shared with you guys, very briefly, obviously, then first step is to schedule a 30-minute consultation where we basically go through what exactly you're struggling with and what you want to achieve in these 8 weeks, see how I can help you and if I can help you in the first place. So just get in touch with me so that we can communicate about this. Okay, this is my WeChat on the very left. In the middle is my WeChat channels. This is where I post a lot of short videos, do live streams, so you can find a lot of my content. And then Instagram is on the very right. I am most active on WeChat. So if you have WeChat, please connect with me there. But if you don't, Instagram is also fine. Okay, Margot saying, let me see. I'm going to develop a hobby in the next 21 days. I've researched some and I'm locking in on calligraphy. Okay, cool. The priority topic helped me a lot. Can't wait to use it on my next day task. Awesome, Richard. Go for it. I'm pretty sure one of my previous students was called Richard Guo, like same last name. So I thought you were him for a second at the very start. Quite a coincidence. Okay, Alice says, hey Leah, my name is Alice. I have a question. When unexpected urgent matters disrupt our carefully planned schedule, which seems to happen quite often, what's your approach to helping students stay adaptable without completely derailing their progress? Yeah, so I think there's 2 aspects. Number 1 is you can prevent these unexpected things to some extent. Like, for example, I don't have a ton of unexpected matters on a daily basis because I set boundaries. Like, people know that I'm not the kind of person that schedules things the same day, right? If you want to schedule something with me, like a meeting, anything, like including what we're doing now, we didn't just decide on this yesterday or like this morning. You know, Margot and I planned this out, I think 5, 6 days ago. Okay, so I would say first, start setting boundaries, start setting these kind of expectations that if people need your time, if you're expected to do anything, that people tell you a few days in advance, because that can prevent a lot of those last minute things. Okay, that's one. And then, of course, occasionally you're going to have emergencies that you can't control, right? So in that case, you want to keep your schedule a little bit flexible. Like, for example, give yourself buffers, right? Don't fill your calendar up completely where you don't even have like a minute between things because you're so full. Instead, give yourself a bit of time in between each activity so that even if something goes a bit over time, it doesn't mean everything that needs to be pushed back. Okay. Or if you finish something on time and then you have this buffer and you need to do something urgent, then you can still do that and then go on to the next activity. Or you can just plan more time for each of your activities. So if you think it's going to take you an hour to do something, plan out 2 hours just to be safe. Okay, so I think as long as you are not jam packing your schedule to the brim, like as long as you are leaving some room in between activities, then you should be fine. Even if emergencies come up, like you won't feel extremely overwhelmed. So to summarize, number one, be the kind of person that sets certain expectations, boundaries with other people when it comes to anything that takes up your time. Okay, so you don't have a lot of these last minute, all of a sudden things. You always plan things in advance. And then number two, if things do come up, right, just make sure you have buffers. Like you give yourself some flexibility in your plans. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Hope that helps. Morgan, I have a question. I joined midway. Oh man, so you missed the first part. As a uni student, I was wondering if you could share a story of one of the most memorable transformation stories you have coached, not the amazing end result like the student maybe went to Harvard in the end, but as in the effect of the transformation, just curious. Okay. One of the most memorable transformation stories. I would say I had the student Fatima, who's actually a university student as well. She studied medicine. Now she's graduated and she actually got into her dream, like hospital, dream job. And the biggest thing for her is I helped her build a lot of belief in herself because when you are used to procrastinating and breaking promises to yourself and being inconsistent with things, it kind of shatters your confidence over time. Like you don't trust yourself because when you say you're going to do something, you probably won't do it. Right. So obviously you lack confidence. And that was her at the beginning of the program. So literally through one good habit at a time and keeping these small promises and just stacking these promises, stacking these good habits, she started to build confidence. And it was really evident, like the way that she would show up on her coaching calls or the way that she would talk to herself. Her what do you call it? Her inner talk also got a lot more positive. So I would say that was one of the most memorable, like university student transformations, just because I saw her go from someone who lacked confidence, lacked belief in herself, to someone much more positive about the future and someone who has much more confidence. Okay, hope that helps. Then any other questions? If not, I think we'll wrap it up. No? Okay, well, appreciate you guys staying until the end. And again, whatever you learned today, make sure you apply it in real life. It's only going to change you if you apply it. All right, see you guys soon. Bye-bye.